Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. Before I continue my lecture, I would like to make some announcement concerning the midterm examination. And what I would like to ask from you, actually, not asking you, but informing you that at the beginning, I told you that we're gonna have 2 midterms and 1 final examination. And last week, I received some notification from registration office. I would like to share that notification with you, if you allow me to do so now. That notification is saying that in summer, we will have only 2 assessments. One assessment will be combining first and second one, and final assessment, which is 60 to 40. Okay, guys? So we're gonna have 2 assessments. So that means that our first midterm will be plus second midterm, so it will be combined. And I will shift it to, I was planning to make the 1st of June, but I will make it on 8th of June.
Sorry, we have 2 exams, yes?
Yes, we're gonna have in total 2 exams. Okay,
Oh.
let me type it. That even makes the things easier. It's not going to overload you. So we'll have plenty times. So we'll have assessment 1 and assessment 2. First assessment is 60%, and second assessment is 40%. So in first assessment and the second assessment, it's gonna be same. So I was planning to give you the term project. So the term project is canceled. We're gonna have the exam. Exam will be exactly whatever you do in the class, okay? But not with the same numbers, with the different, some logics will be inside. It will be open book. You will be allowed to use anything you want, except you cannot do the things as a group work, okay? The work should be done individually. This exam will be done individually, but it's open book. You can use anything, internet, everything you're allowed, okay? I'm gonna explain a bit more about it, what you should do and how you do, and then when we finish some lectures that we required to do it. So we're proceeding still with the project. So it will be basically related to the cash flow projections, related to the Excel function, okay? We're gonna apply Excel, and it will be done on soft on the computer. And then when you do all the projection and so on, you're gonna come up with certain comments, with a certain conclusion. So you're gonna write some essay, like let's say maybe up to 500 words. You're gonna explain your results and what is up to and so on. So you'll have a big case, and I'm sorry. Okay. So assessment 1 will be 60 and 40%. This is the first thing that I would like to tell you. The second announcement, it's not an announcement, it's kind of notification for you. While you are using Excel, please make sure that you have the Excel in English, not in Russian, okay? So that it will not be a surprise to you while you're solving. But you're supposed to already to run all the cash flow projection examples at home, like to practice. Don't leave everything to the end. Otherwise, it's gonna create a big trouble to you guys, okay? So make sure everything, all the commands should be done in English, because I'm not responsible for your work. Like if you say, at the exam, oh my gosh, my Excel is not working because it's Russian. So it will be your responsibility. You will be given a certain time. Within that certain time, you have to submit your work, okay? So one more time, exam is going to be, the first assessment is going to be out of 60%. The difficultiness, as I told you, in all my exams, from my all experience of teaching, I'm not asking something from the sky, okay? Whatever I do in the class, you're responsible for that. So whatever I solve it, you're responsible for that. So that's why I record all my videos and everything, so you will be able to follow up after the classes if you didn't get anything. And so the second thing that about the exam is I'm planning to make it on Monday, on the 8th of June. 8th of June, during the class hour. Actually, not during the class hour. I will give you a bit more timing, okay? Because 1 hour will not be enough. Actually, to solve the question, you may be needed, let's say 1.5 hours, but I will give you 30 minutes extra, like 2 hours. You will do it and submit it through the email and through the FB Moodle, like from two systems, from email and the FB Moodle. So,
sorry, can you clarify when will be our first midterm? Oh, first exam, yes.
the first assessment will be on 8th of June. It will start 11 o'clock, okay? Let's say, and it will stop at planning to make it 2 hours. Two. So
sorry,
yes.
Professor, but we have classes right after. So
you have a classes. Oh my gosh, I didn't take that into consideration. Then we'll make it in this way. We'll make it evening, and evening time actually that will be great. Actually, I think yes.
yes, same time.
Evening you will sit and without any problem, without thinking, just start writing and send it to me. But with one confirmation, then an evening I will make it at 18 o'clock, 18:00 to 8 p.m. Okay, so this is the timing will be given.
But we also have a class till 8:15 or 6:15.
6:15 you have a classes.
Yes, till.
Then let me think about a timing, because I think I have to choose the convenient. Okay, guys, give me a couple days regarding the timing. So time will be updated. Okay, time will be updated. Time will be updated. I will search which is convenient to you and me as well. Okay, so that it doesn't disturb.
Sorry, can I suggest time?
Yes, please. You are always welcome.
I think it's evening time will be the most appropriate, because all lessons will end it, and all students will have free time on the evening.
Let's make it at 7 p.m. What do you think? At 7 p.m. nobody has it, I think. Yes.
Yeah, I think yes.
Yes.
Until 21. So we start at 7, we finish at 9, and that's great. Actually, you can finish it in 1.5 hours. If you study well, even you can finish this work in 1 hour, because everything is, all the calculation is done by Excel. If you link it to the Excel, all the formulas, and you play, and you believe me, you will just fix it in 1 hour, everything, and you will have 1 hour extra. And one thing I want to tell you, that everybody will have its own questions. Okay? What I mean that everybody should have their own solutions. So the questions will not be the same. So that's why you are required to study the notes and the Excel, all the examples. And I believe if you manage to study well, you will get a good result on that. And apart from what do you call it, calculation, you have to be able to answer some critical questions related to the Excel, your work, okay? Some logical. It will be related to the results. It will be related in terms like, what if you will be expanding the project? What you will need extra something? So you have to think critically, okay? You have to use some rational things. It's not related, it might not be related to directly to the subject, but it might be asked to use your own creativity, okay, your own imagination, kind of to show how deeply you understand the topic itself. Okay, assessment 1. So whatever we cover, I'm planning to make it Aero June. Most probably you will be responsible for 2 lectures. Is lecture, if I'm not mistaken, is this lecture we finish this chapter, and the chapter that we're gonna start after that chapter is very short actually. So 2 chapters will be included. So it is capital, budgeting, and cost of capital. This is what we will be responsible for the assessment 1. Now, let's move. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Yes, I have some small question.
Yes, please.
If I have Excel on Russian, is it okay if I do it in Russian Excel? I already like checked the formulas.
Unless you get the same results, okay? The result that I'm expecting. So that if when I check, please, you know what we do? You run one model in Russian and send it to me. I have to check in mine because I'm going to check the technical part in my Excel. If everything matches and everything is okay.
Sorry, I have problem with hearing. I don't hear half of your.
Okay, now let me repeat again. For the ones who has in Russian language your Excel, please solve one problem in Excel and send it to my email. I have to check it whether it's compatible with my Excel, okay? So that at the end we don't have any problem with the grading issue.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Professor, I barely can hear you. So could you type in the chat box?
Okay, I will type in the chat box these things as well. So assessment 1 out of 60%. It will include 2 chapters, capital budgeting and capital structure, cost of capital. And it will be on 8th of June. The timing will start at 7 p.m. I'm going to announce in the FB in Moodle as well. I'll put this timing on Moodle so that you can see it in Moodle as well, okay? Now, this is the things.
Can I ask you?
Yes, please.
How many problems will be?
I have to ask everything. Like, first of all, I will ask one big comprehensive example, which will consist of sensitivity analysis, scenario analysis, and Monte Carlo simulation analysis. So this is one example. Second example, there are some small examples, like you have to follow up like 2 methods to use which methods you have to use to come up with a certain decision. For example, I'm just giving an example, okay? It's not the case that I'm going to ask this question. So whatever we solved in the class, okay, everything you're responsible. we have many things solved in here, okay? In the lecture notes, you can see it in the example that we saw in all the videos. Just follow it. That will be more than enough for you to study, actually. But the best thing when you study everything in a proper manner, I mean on time, okay? Everything should be done on time. Don't leave all the things accumulated to the last minute, okay? When you put everything to the last minute, then you will see how much things are really getting worse when you put everything to the last minute. You'll just give it up everything. Okay. If you don't have any questions, let me proceed with the example that we last time stopped. Now, let me make a quick review of the risk analysis. Risk analysis, guys, it is the analysis that is done, that is conducted in three ways, like sensitivity analysis, scenario analysis, and simulation analysis. So these three analyses are combined. These are three analyses that are combined to come up with a certain decision whether you should accept the project or not. Okay? So this is the kind of, for example, the Queen's University giving you a really good certificate based on this risk analysis certificate. And it is really valuable certificates. Like it's a Queen University, it's in Canada. And why I'm sharing this, I want to share that how much money people they're earning on financial modeling. So this capital budgeting issue related to corporate finance, these are all things are directly linked to the financial modeling, like financial planning. Either you're expanding the project, either you're creating a new product, or there is a replacement cost, okay? So these things should be taken into consideration properly. And these three, if you are professional in this, you are really successful in your career. So sensitivity analysis involves like when you examine changes in each input variable and how these changes affect the NPV. So we did it. If you can see it in here, like scenario and the sensitivity, and I wanted to do the Monte Carlo in here. So sensitivity, it was we're trying to see, if you remember this, how much each change in each variable, it's there sensitive, okay? So we will use this for Monte simulation as well. Then we will see what is the correlation and so on. And now, as you can see, then here the sensitivity measures that in here, the most sensitive input variable to NPV in relation to NPV, we found it out to be a unit price. So if you want to expand the project, if it was the expansion project, I think it was the expansion project, and if you wanted to expand the project, you have to pay attention to the unit price, because small teeny change in unit price will have a large effect on your NPV. So this is really an important issue when you change a unit price, like selling something, and if you increase or decrease it, be careful. That will affect a lot. Another, the least sensitive, the thing that you shouldn't take into consideration while evaluating the project, it is the expected salvage value. So this is the least sensitive. So it doesn't. So if you see that somebody is trying in your company, if you're like a team, if you have a team in a corporation and one of your team of a corporation tells you, please let's change the expected salvage value to affect the NPV. However, and you made a sensitivity analysis, now you're pretty sure that it is like NPV is least sensitive with a certain project, so least sensitive to expected salvage value, so that you can say, look, we cannot increase the expected salvage value or decrease it because NPV is not reacting to these changes in a proper, okay? So what we can do, we can change the unit price, because the unit price is the most sensitive. So please take into consideration my whole explanation while you're gonna explain your results after you conducted this sensitivity analysis, scenario analysis. So each variable should be explained. So the range shows by how much it changes, okay, from the low case to the high case, from the minimum to up. So we had the three cases in here. One is going down, one is up, the other one is high, increasing, okay? This was the case, sensitivity analysis, but scenario analysis, it involves examining the effect of MPV on the set of the changes. So in the difference between sensitivity and scenario, in the sensitivity, we're trying to measure individually each variable, but in sensitivity, when we change all the variables as one, and we create different scenarios like recession period, when economy is slow down, the normal, when the economy is a normal way of increasing, and boom case, when the economy is growing, expansion period, okay? So in these three scenarios, what will be your MPV? So this is the case actually. This is how we create actually the things. Now, let's proceed with the Monte Carlo analysis. With the Monte Carlo analysis, it involves the examining the effect on MPV with uncertainty, like if the input is changes in the way that you never expect, okay? We expected sales to be 5% increase, however, it increased in the other way around. So now we are facing something uncertainty. It's kind of, we're trying to simulate a real life example. You never know what will be the tomorrow, the sale growth. You never know what will be the day after tomorrow. It's kind of randomly selected numbers. So this process will give you a randomly selected numbers. So with this randomly selected number, we're gonna come up with a certain conclusion. It's interesting, but a bit complicated, but I'll try my best to make it as much as possible to simpler to your understanding and to run it, okay? Now, let's say we have, okay, let me just go to here. We have data parameters here. I put it. This is data parameters that were given. Useful life of the project 6 years. It's expansion of the project, let's say. Inventory in fixed capital. So investment, I'm sorry, investment in fixed capital is 300 in thousands. So it's exactly the same that we used to do in the previous example, like sensitivity and scenario analysis. It's just one example. Investment in net working capital changes by 50, like they're all in thousand, but I reduced to by thousand. I'm not showing this thousands. Depreciation is straight line to 0, which is 50 for 6 years. 300 divided by 6, you get 50. But be careful, guys, about the depreciation. This thing that I'm gonna change, you shouldn't be saying that every time the depreciation is changed. So follow the all examples. If you notice that in one example I'm changing depreciation, in another example I'm changing the cost, in one example I'm changing the sales. So in each example I'm changing something, but you should be very careful when you will read the question. What I'm changing mostly, okay? So sometimes you may face that some of you got the question like sales changing, some of you got the questions changing in cost, okay? So unit price, that means you will sell whatever you produce in expanded business for $5. The sales in 1 year, in year 1, okay, we have 6 years. Sales in year 1, let me remind you here, oops. We have 6 years plus investment year, investment cost. Unit price in year 1, sorry, the sales, the number of the sales will take in year 1 will be 40,000 units. But there's additional information added here, okay? Here, this is additional information which is added. Growth of the sales is expected to be every year. This is annual growth, okay? Expected to be 5%. So your growth will be grown starting from year 1 by 5%. But with the standard deviation of the growth rate of 1%, that means that your growth rate will change. Like it is not fixed, like it would not be growth rate fixed, like 5% to the next year, the third year is 5. No, next year it will be 5.5 or 4.3 or something like this. It will be deviating by 1% up and down. So this is randomly will be selected by the Excel function, okay? We will not know how much. So it will give you randomly selected. I'm going to show you guys. Don't worry. And variable cost per unit will be given like 1.5 units. Here I didn't provide a fixed cost. Okay. I might provide you an example. But all the costs, all the expenses, whatever I provide as operational, include as operational cost, operational expense, and subtract from the revenue to get income from operation before the tax. Expected salary is $60,000. That means at the end of the year, you will sell this for $60,000. Tax rate is 40%, and cost of capital is 12%. So let us construct. First of all, we need to construct the growth rate. The growth rate. So we have year 0. Sorry, let me put the years here. These are the years, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. And 6. So 6 years. I have 6 years. So the growth rate okay. And we have revenue. But let me make it like this. I have sales. Sales in year 0, we don't have anything, but in year 1, we have, where is it? How much sales we have? 40. So in year 1, sales is equal to 40,000. But in year 2, it should increase by some percentage. So it should increase by 5%, and we can increase it by, and it should be deviated by 1%. So what we're doing here, we're trying to create a normally inversely distributed and randomly selected numbers. So what it means that the percentage increase of the growth will be automatically selected by the Excel itself randomly. You don't mention it. So we never, because in real life, we don't know what will be the increase in future. Okay, that's why we're trying to simulate kind of real life. So Monte Carlo simulation analysis is analysis that trying to put you into real life with a simulation. So we type this following coding, norm in. Here we have to put the probability, but we're gonna put randomly selected, okay? Probability means the probability that it will happen. However, we're gonna select a random number, it will be selected randomly, okay? This probability value will be randomly selected. Then we have to select the average sale increase, which is 5%, and we will fix it. We're fixing with F4, and we are gonna select the standard deviation. That means by how much it deviates. I hope that you all understand what does deviation means, the standard deviation, okay? Because you're expected to take, you should have taken the business statistics actually before. Is there anyone who doesn't understand what does it mean and standard deviation? Please feel free to ask, okay? Now, I'm closing the bracket. So what you can see, our rate is 5.96%. So on average, it by 5, but it deviates by 1. But randomly selecting the probability to happen. So okay, we do not put a probability because it may take randomly. So for all years, it will be randomly. Okay, what you see, all the changes in sales is taken randomly. So that means the next year, and one thing for you to take into attention, okay, this guys, this is very important. sale in year 1 is equal to 40, but I may just equal sale is equal to 40, and it's grown by annual rate. So next I can say that in year 1 it will not be 40, but it will be increased with the growth rate. But in here I specifically mentioned it is 40, and starting after that, starting from year 2, it will grow by 5% with the deviation of 1, but it will be randomly selected, okay, Monte Carlo simulation. That means that 40 times 1 plus rate, okay. Now our sale is this much, and we drag it, you see. And one very interesting thing in here, guys, if you press F9, the growth rate changes, okay. Oops. If you press F9, the growth rate always changes. Can you see it? Pressing F9, it just updates the growth rate and just simulates a new growth rate. Okay, guys, it's good. Like we are in new. Then we need to find the revenue. And what I'm saying, why I'm saying this to you guys, because do not be surprised. Okay, do not be surprised when everything is changing always when you press enter or just press F9. Now let me drag down this. Okay, where I need to put investment cost. So investment cost is equal to this plus, oops, right. Investment cost is equal this plus this. In total 350, but it should be negative sign. Okay, guys, it's a negative sign because it's an investment cost. This is how I put the negative sign. Just take everything into brackets and add them. You'll get a minus. Okay, this is our investment cost. Now, revenue is simple. As you used to calculate the revenue is unit price. Let's fix it. It's $5. It doesn't change. Guys, be careful. In the question, I may ask that the unit price changes instead of the sales, okay? Be careful about it. So I may fix the sales, but the unit price will be changing. So read the questions very carefully. So some of you, I'm talking about the exam, okay? All different simulations will have it, times the units, the sales that we have produced. So here we have it, and we take it. Here we go. And about the standard deviation, please take into consideration, the lower the standard deviation, the better position we have it in our project, okay? The higher, the better it is. So we are not willing to have the higher, so we are trying to have the less, okay? So now our expenses, the variable cost is here. So variable cost, which is 1.5 times units, and we're fixing the variable cost as well. And this is how we change it, okay? Regarding these changes like interest rate, you have to remember only this command, okay? But anyway, I'm gonna upload this into Moodle. You can follow, you just copy it and see it. So in here, it is the method that we need to understand that it's in changes, randomly selected growth changes in each year. But I think we have how many years? Sorry. 1, 2, 3. 1 is 7th year. Okay, we don't need the 7th year. And now we can derive we can derive EBT, earnings before tax, or operation income from operations before tax.
You forgot depreciation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really like when somebody's correcting me, and that really makes me happy because you are really following me. Thank you so much. So let me make it like this. Depreciation. And depreciation is not changing, it's fixed, okay? Depreciation is fixed, which is 50. And then we can derive EBT, it's revenue minus variable cost minus. So one more time, I would like to make a comment. Whenever you're subtracting the cost, I might give you some salaries, expenses, some other expenses. You should add them to the cost below, okay, and subtract from the revenue. So normal income statement. So don't tell me then we didn't do it. That these things you're supposed to do it, because my part is to teach you how to do it. But concerning the income statement items, you have to know all of them, like all expenses. And so the basics about the income statement, the revenue minus all expenses, that's it. So here we get negative 200. No, we're not. You see what we did? We multiply by the revenue, the variable cost. No. Sales and variable cost. Our mistake was that I multiplied the variable cost by the revenue. Now I'm getting this, dragging. Okay, my tax is this times 40%, and this is fixed. Okay, and my net income, or my cash flow after tax, operating cash flow after tax, $54. Then we are adding back the depreciation. So this is debt depreciation. And we have okay. Operating cash flow in here. And we need to calculate disposable stage of cash flow, or we can call it, as we call it, the terminal non-operating cash flow. How do we calculate? And we are calculating for the last year, okay? The last year, it is what? Is expected salvage value plus change in net working capital, which is here, and minus the tax, this times tax amount. Okay. And my all operating cash flow, so I'm getting the investment cost here, which is negative And my cash flows are this. So this is actually basically, we call them net income. But anyway, we can call operating cash flows or SFI after tax. 54 plus 50. And now we're just getting this, but at the last stage, we have to add the terminal non-operating cash flow. Okay, so this is the last. And our NPV or IRR, so first go with NPV, IRR. NPV is rate, which is 12%. It's a cost of capital. Required return is the same thing. We're getting the range, closing the bracket, plus, or we're basically subtracting, but in here in the Excel function, as I told you before, we need to just add it in order to make it subtraction. So our investment cost, look, I make it, if you press F9, your NPV will be changing. Look, just press F9. Can you see it, what happens? But you know what is the interesting thing? That if you increase the standard deviation, if you make it, let's say, 4, look what happens to your NPV. Sometimes it might go negative. It might go negative if you just press like this, okay? So let's return it to 1. So the lower the standard deviation, the better the position of the company itself. So the company is always there willing to have the lower standard deviation. So IRR, okay, IRR is 25%. Let me see. You see IRR even changing. And NPV with IRR, but my rate is IRR. If you press F9, you see, good, it works. Now, very interesting thing is coming. I want to try 10,000 times my NPV. Can you imagine? I want to have 10,000 different NPVs. This is scenario I'm creating, okay? 10,000 different NPVs. So 10,000 different scenarios. We can make it 1 million even, guys. We can make it even 1 million or 10 million. So it's up to you. But let's start with let's make it 1,000. So sample would be from 1 to 1,000. And our NPV here, so we are trying to run 1,000 different NPVs. Okay, let me create 1,000 sample. You can drag until 1,000, or the best way to do it in this way, from 1 to 1,000 columns, and press enter. So it created 1,000 series. So what I do here, I go to field, series, column from 1 to 1,000, or from 1 to 10,000, from 1 to 1 million. So now my NPV is this. Okay. I select all to run the scenario, NPV scenario. Okay, now I selected all. Do you know how to select? If you want to select all, what do? You just press Shift, Control,
And down.
Right arrow and down arrow. That's it. It select automatically everything quickly instead of just dragging down. Okay. Then I go to data. In data, I have what if analysis here. Okay. What if analysis, and go to data table. Data table. In column input cell, I'm not using the row. If you make it row, it will do the what if analysis on the row. But I want it to column, okay, down. I select the MPV and I press OK. Got it?
Could you show it again, Professor?
No, it was once only. I'm joking. Okay, I'm gonna show it again now. Now, sorry. Let me just delete, because if you do it once, you have to delete again everything. Now, sample, MPV. My sample is from 1 to 1000. I go to field, series, from 1 to 1000. Oops, did not specify the columns with the rows. It should be column 1000. Then MPV. I'm selecting the already calculated MPV. Then I have to select all. I'm not selecting the sample and MPV. I'm selecting only the numbers. Shift, Control, and arrow down. Arrow down. I go to data. What if analysis? What if analysis? Data table. I don't need to put anything into row, but I would like it to happen to take the place as a column. So I check MPV as a column, and then I press OK. Here we go. So different 1000 different MPVs. Okay. What I need to do, I need to get some descriptive statistics of it. So in order to come up with a certain picture, what's going on with these different 1000 MPVs. So what can I see about it? Different 1000 scenarios. So I go to data analysis. I choose the descriptive statistics. I need this just summary statistics, okay? It's automatically 95% confidence level for me, okay? And I need to be listed as a group. I can make it as a new workbook or new worksheet or output range. Right. I have to put output range here, okay? Oops, sorry. Okay, this is input and output range. I'm gonna put it Just waiting for results to come. Then we can interpret. Actually, we're timing is out. Tomorrow we're gonna repeat it again, and interpretation is very important. Here we go. So this is the results, we get it. The modes, we don't need it actually. We have kurtosis, skewness, range, and okay. This is, okay, this is column, we don't need it. This is just column for sample, but what is important for us? Oops, I cannot delete it. Okay, let me not delete it. Okay, I'm just, because I deleted that item, okay, above. Okay, just here, we don't need it. This one, I'm deleting it. We don't need this one. We need only this part. So, okay, tomorrow I will interpret this one. Now let me stop in here. Tomorrow I'm gonna make some interpretation on this. This is very important. This is the result that we were trying to get it at the end. Okay, if you don't have any questions, thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye. Thanks.